He said something phenomenal. We left off on Friday. It's on page Gimel, the second paragraph. The Gemara says that a person who's Daitu Shvelo, he's truly humble, his tefillah will never be nemesis. 8 tefillos and nemesis will never be detested by Hashem. As much as he prays, Hashem will always look at his tefillah as being special. Dover ze biaru loch lemalaki Hashem Yisborach shu ole. Pone rishona el mishu olul. El mishu olul. God is the cause, the human being is the effect. He wills our existence. So there's always, if there's a connection between the cause and the effect. If the person who's an outgrowth of the source turns to the source, then there's an attachment between the source and what would emanate from the source. So therefore, ain't philos and messes, because then that's the connection. Because the person always is humble, that means he's turning towards where his origin. But if a person, let's say, is independent of God, let's say he's a Bal Gaiva, that means you've divorced yourself, you've separated yourself. What a person is drunk, he davens when he's drunk. Ashet filosi toevo. Neishi nasis bal guf gashmi. Below secho v'dovze to'evel Hashem Yisborach Moshe Yisber bin Nesiv hatfilo. Ubal anova hefech ze kimidas hapshitus min agashmius. Hu shayach sheikonis l'Hashem Yisborach. There's a simpleness. Lekachin tfilos nemeses ein laharich. Okay. Perakam davod zor ton rabonon v'nishmart mikol davaro. So we started this already. We started this. Okay. Yeah. I want to start it over again. Okay. Omre Pinchas ben Yoyer. Nishmar kol davaro shlo yihar adam biyom yovel lidetuma balaylo. Person shouldn't have certain thoughts, lewd thoughts during the day, because ultimately you bring to contamination at nighttime. Omre Pinchas ben Yoyer. Torah mevil de zehirus. Torah, the study of Torah brings to carefulness. Zehirus mevil de zrizus. Carefulness brings to zeal, alacrity. Zrizus mevil de nekius. Zrizus, alacrity brings to purity. Well, the kius means we're, okay. The kius mevil de precious, to abstinence. Precious mevil de taro. That brings to purity. And the taro mevil de kedusha. Purity brings to holiness. Kedusha mevil de anova. And Kedusha, holiness, brings to humility. So you see what it takes to arrive at humility. People think, they're humble. Look what you have to go through to be what's considered anova. Anova mevil de yiras chet. Person's truly humble, brings to fear of sin. Yiras chet mevil de chasidus. Chasidus mevil de ruach hakodesh. Ruach hakodesh mevi lidei tchias hamesim. And ultimately, you're able to resurrect the person who has Ruach HaKodesh. Chasidus gedol mikulam. Chasidus is greater than all of them, although Chasidus, it doesn't end with Chasidus, because as Chasidus brings to Ruach HaKodesh brings to Tchias HaMeisim. Shenemar as dibarta b'chazon l'chasidecho. You've spoken in the vision to your chosid. So what does that mean? That indicates it's because you're a chosid, that's where you're able to make that quantum leap. You have to reach a certain point. You reach that point, then you go all the way. How do we understand it? Once told over, heard this from Reb Yifter, from the Broch. He said it over from the Altar of Kelm. Even though he was told Rashiv, he was quoting the Altar of Kelm. That he said, "What is siyata dishmaya?" Right. See, the example he gave, the moshel he gave, was in the Middle Ages, they would have these fairs where to show one's endurance or physical strength, and if you would be able to show that you surpassed everybody else's ability, then you won a purse of gold. So they had this ladder. The ladder had 180 rungs, 200 rungs, and if you were able to reach the top of the ladder, you'd win a purse of gold. But there was a precondition that before you climbed the ladder, you had to wear a leather belt with a very large iron buckle. So the first person, people train for this, they go, they climb 50 rungs, 70 rungs, you have another 130 rungs to go. The wind, the ladder is swaying in the wind, you're going to be blown off to your death. People come down. Finally, one person goes up, and he says he's trained all his life, even if it means he dies, he's pushing all the way. Goes 180, 90, 91, all of a sudden he feels like some kind of magnetic pull. It's pulled all the way to the top. Meaning, wearing that buckle, that iron buckle, he had to be within the range of the magnet, and once he hit 91, he was pulled all the way to 200. He says, that's siyata d'shmaya. That if you go and you give it all you have, and you're totally dedicated, at all costs, you're willing to sacrifice, then Hashem comes in, he pulls you all the way. That's the out of kelim, that's the out of dishmaya. That's chasidecho. You have to go through many steps. Those steps are within your ability. Of course, Hashem assists you. But when do you make the quantum leap? Once you hit chosid, then quantum, ruach HaKodesh tchias HaMesim. That's the quantum leap. But what did you have to reach? You have to reach the level of chasidus. You're a chosid, then we go all the way. So everything, the pivotal point, characteristic is chosid. Okay? That's the way I understand this. Sure. Rabbi Yehuda Nossi was very wealthy. Doesn't make a difference, but factually he was wealthy. The Gemara said, Rabbi Elazar ben Aruch, he had 1,000 ships on the sea, he had 1,000 towns, villages on dry land. He gave it all up. He says it all means nothing to him. Right? It depends how you value. What is it? Is this me or is this something else? Look, David said, Li'akes li'azov, right? HaKadosh Baruch says, the gold and silver is mine, the Navi says. Totally, right? He says, totally Torah spichme avich zov v'chesev. He had endless money. All means nothing. Compared to Torah, it's nothing. Definitely. But where does precious fit in? Nikias, precious is even before, is way before another. Abstination, I mean, that we had in the Chovos HaLevavos. We're not talking about a person just like, the Mesilas Yesharim speaks about. Precious is not where a person feels deprived. If you feel deprived, that means you're not functioning correctly. You're at a level where you could divorce yourself from certain physical amenities. You're beyond them. You don't need them any longer. Because you don't need them, so partaking is considered an indulgence. If you need something, that's not called indulging. But if it's not a necessity, why are you getting involved? It's a total distraction. That's when you're a level of, you're holding by precious. Then you should abstain, because if you don't, then that's called indulging in material, and that's a negative. Okay? What does the big brimmed hat have to do with anything? No, you get yourself a pair of sunglasses with a cup and a cane. That's all. That's the way to do it. And underneath you have pieces of gauze covering your eyes. That's all. Howard wants to get away easy. Gets a big brimmed hat. And he peeks from under the brim. He thinks he's a big tzaddik. And he has a big stick. Somebody beats him up with the stick. Okay. To be continued. That's Nikios. Nikios means you expunge yourself. That you have no inclination for it, no interest. I'll give you an example. You grew up with certain kids. Today they took a path and they said, we paint the town red every Saturday night. You hear what they do. You're like taken aback. I mean, you're abhorred by hearing their behavior, but you have an interest. You have a desire. This is the life these people live. That's Nikios. You're so far removed from that, it's not you have to suppress something not to be interested in that. You're totally removed from it. It's like you're purged from any relevance to whatever that represents. That's Nikius. Right?
In that Rob Levinson book, he had a whole chapter on, he used to have a cup of tea in the afternoon, and he went through this whole exercise as to whether he really needed it or not. And that was the level of detachment. It was unbelievable. How much he agonized about whether he really needed it, didn't need it, was doing it for his own good, didn't, it's like,
And he passed on the cup of tea. Okay?
he could wean himself off it. He didn't
I hear.
need it.
Look, it says you're supposed to learn Torah in a state of what? Of being deprived. That means, you have an interest, and yet it's not a necessity. You pass on it.
I know, but as you go on, the less you have, the less becomes a necessity.
I'll tell you, it's interesting. I learned in Baltimore in the 60s. I was a bacher in the 60s. And in the old yeshiva, we would have a shiur. It was in a wooden building, no air conditioning, and it was a room that was as narrow as from the end of the table to this wall. We had 40 bachrim in the shiur. It was packed, the room.
Did they smoke in the shiur?
And people smoked. It was hot. The Rebbe, when he'd finished the shiur in the end of June, it looked like he just came out of a swimming pool. That's how soaked he was. And I remember, sometimes during the day, you'd go study there by yourself. And whatever it was, different things. And it was not a problem. Feeling, if you could pass on the air conditioning, you passed on it. There was like a certain mindset, because you would learn better. Rather than having all the comforts of this, it's a training. Today there's an attitude, years ago, Barney's, they had a sale, $4,000 suit, $1,800. Person says, for that price, I'll buy 3. The man hasn't taken the labels off last year's Barney sale. He doesn't have room in his closet to put the suits. But if I could buy it, why not? If I could afford it, why not? And that's a whole mindset today, right? If you can afford it, why not? But if you don't need it, what are you buying it for? Right? It's the same thing. If I could get along without it, what do I need it for? I understand, but once this is beyond that. Today, people are beyond that. And even people can't afford it. You got the credit card. You put on the credit card, worry about how you're going to pay for it. It's even worse than that. Okay, we're almost finished with